Today I'm going over my personal list of the top 5 best heroes for beginners to pick up and play in Overwatch 2. Disclaimer, I do love all of these heroes, and this isn't an insult to any of you. If you main this hero, they just happen to be a beginner-friendly hero. Also, my main focus is on how easy a hero is to pick up and play. That focuses on the skill floor of the character. Some of these heroes have large skill curves, and I will mention that accordingly, but they are all easy to pick up at a base level. Let's get into it. Reinhardt is an obvious pick. His lack of mechanical demand with his primary fire makes him very easy just to get up and go in. If you've never played a shooter before, just clicking and swinging becomes so much easier than actually having to think about where you have to aim. The only thing you really have to aim is your fire strikes, and that can be a bit difficult at times, but it's pretty forgiving due to the size of it, and if you're shooting it against a tank or someone close to you, you're very likely to hit it. He also has a huge health bar and lots of armor, which means he's able to stay alive for a very long time, and his shield, again, almost acts as another 1600 health, which makes him very forgiving if you mess up. You're very unlikely to just blow up on this character just because of how much survivability he has, and I think that can make it a lot easier for a new player. He's also a true tank-specific playstyle, in the sense that he is kind of completely unique to Overwatch in the way that in no other shooter game could you play such a classic style tank, a big armored guy with a big hammer and a shield. And I think that can really appeal to a new player because it gives them something that's different to other games. He also has lots of transferable skills to other tanks, so learning him doesn't feel like a waste of time. If you ever want to transition into learning another tank, it's not going to be as difficult because a lot of them share the same fundamentals. The hardest part of Rein will be playing him into mobile comps, so people that can move a lot. This is where he really struggles, but I think at the beginner level and in your early matches, you're not going to find this happens nearly as much. And also, he has a real nice skill curve, so learning him is worth the time because you can learn throughout your entire lifetime on Reinhardt, right? He actually has a very high mastery ceiling, and you can kind of play him up into high-ish ranks. He does fall off a little bit towards that Masters GM level, but still, if you're a beginner, you don't have to worry about that. Reinhardt is a great hero for beginners to play just because of his simplicity and the fact that he is still a hero that rewards you putting in time and has transferable skills. Great hero to pick up. Moving on. Reaper is less mechanically demanding than other DPS. I still think there is a bit more demand than people give credit for because there's a very big difference between landing 4 shotgun shots and only having to land 1. But again, like I said, for most of these characters, for the beginner level, that kind of stuff isn't going to matter nearly as much. He is really forgiving mechanically. He has really straightforward cooldown and abilities. Like, they're not anything that you're going to actively have to think about too much in your game to game. Wraith allows you just to get in and out as much as you want. It's especially useful as an escape tool, more so than an engage tool. But it's very straightforward. There's nothing complicated about it. You move a little quicker and you don't take damage. His ultimate also is super high value in lower ranks. This ultimate can get multiple kills because somehow people will just group and get hit by his ult. Obviously this falls off later on, but that doesn't matter. This is a beginner video. He's also kind of got a variety of playstyles, and that sounds like an odd thing to bring up, but it means as a new player, you don't have to worry about fitting into one specific playstyle. Typically, the way you'll play Reaper naturally is probably going to be fine and work in most of your games, and you can keep changing it up, and I think that's something that's very unnoticed about Reaper. Also, him having life steal and a high health pool, plus his Wraith form, allows you to survive for a very long time, and that can always feel so much better as a new player. He's a lot less punishing. Now, I don't think that's a flawed design. I think that just allows you to actually get a lot more time in on your life as Reaper and be more impactful instead of having to worry about dying. Also, people might disagree with this, but Reaper's fundamentals help you learn Tracer if you ever want to learn Tracer in the future. Tracer is a very difficult character that if you really get invested into Overwatch, and especially DPS, you will probably end up, especially if you're a DPS player, you will probably end up at one point learning Tracer or wanting to learn Tracer. Obviously not everyone does, but Reaper has a lot of key skills that do transfer really well into playing Tracer. She's just a lot quicker and less forgiving about it. I also think Reaper is really cool aesthetically and to play, and a really fun hero to pick up. And if something's fun, it's really good for new players. So, play Reaper. Juno is one of my favorite heroes to have a low skill floor. I think she does it really, really, really well. At the time of recording this, she just got a patch that she now headshots, which doesn't make her more difficult. It just means I think you can actually get a lot more out of her in the long term, but the floor is still low. She also has quite a large projectile size. I don't know if this is true, but something about her shots feel a little bigger and a little easier to land than other heroes. And she has a really straightforward weapon as well. It's just a burst fire that heals your teammates or does damage to people. And she has a super easy to use ultimate. You just place it down when you want healing and damage boost. If you're fighting, just use it. Like, it's seriously one of the most straightforward ults. It doesn't require you to do anything once you've used it. You just have to use it. An underrated point is that she is very fun and very fluid to play, which makes the learning process a lot easier. When something works and feels good, it is so much easier to commit lots of time and lots of good focus to learning and practicing the game when something is that responsive. She also has missiles, which are an auto aim ability. I mean, I feel like a cop out just to say that she has an auto aim ability, but she does, so less skill there, I guess. And her movement, while fun, is very simplistic. It doesn't really require you to do too much learning. She can ledge grab, but this is it's very situational that you'll notice the fact that you can ledge grab. But yeah, she doesn't have any complicated movement, but it makes her go quicker and hover. So it's pretty cool. The only downside, I say, is her 225 health makes her very fragile and easy to kill, and so that can be harder to learn because she is a little more punishing than other ones. If you miss position, you are a lot more likely to die than some of the other heroes I mentioned. I also think she's one of the better supports to pick up if you want an easy hero, because I think a lot of her skills transfer to other heroes. There's lots of quite simple characters, simple supports that people get drawn into, like your Moiras and Mercies, right? But I think these characters are a lot more difficult to learn the other supports off of, whereas Juno can actually, you can learn Bap, Ana, and Kiri quite well with Juno's basic skills, and that's why I recommend Juno so much. Soldier's quite an obvious pick. Especially if you've played shooters before. I think if you haven't played a shooter game, Soldier can be a little more difficult because his entire kit revolves around shooting people. But if you have played shooter before, whether it's like odd, even, you know, a CS or even just like not even online shooters, just single player FPS games, he will feel really natural to you. And that helps learn again. He is such a basic hero. He really does just shoot people with a gun and then he can sprint around and heal himself. Like there is not much to this character. What this does though is having a simple hero allows you to focus more on the game and individual mechanics and individual things about the game instead of having to worry about your cooldowns and your abilities. Sprint also not being a cooldown means technically one of your abilities you can always use, so you don't have to worry about it. And then Heal Station is the most obvious ability in the world to use. If you're low and you need health, use Heal Station. There's no thinking needed for any of his abilities. And then Helix Rockets are obviously just if you want to do damage to someone, just use a Helix Rocket. And then his ultimate is an aimbot ult. Yeah, and there's not much skill needed there. You just pop it when you want to kill someone and you get aimbot. So yeah, just a simple kit. That means if you have played a shooter before and your aim's not terrible, Soldier will feel really natural and easy to pick up. And then also learning Soldier and getting better at aiming and moving inside of Overwatch are universal skills that will apply to literally all heroes in the game. And so spending some time in Soldier is not a terrible idea. It will make your tracking better, which will make Tracer easier. And even though he's just tracking, that does make non-tracking heroes better. Aim is aim at the same time, right? If you're able to track a target and put your head on them, you put your crosshair on their head, you can do that on Cass and Ashe. And bonus point, he can still be super rewarding. Again, really helps the learning process. Still a rewarding hero. You can play him as much as you want. And the last pick, I didn't want to include her because I was trying to do this as like five beginner heroes that I recommend because I think they're really good to learn the game from and are really beneficial to you as a player to play at the basic level. But Moira is really, really easy. And the reason I don't like Moira's design is just because I think she is way too one-dimensional and doesn't really teach you much about the game. Also, I don't think she's very fun. So I would never want to recommend someone Moira. Look, if you do end up enjoying Moira, that's all good. But I just don't think she's very fun, and I don't want to tell a person to play something that I don't think is fun. Whereas I don't love Soldier, but I enjoy Juno, I enjoy Reaper, and I enjoy Rein. But that's about Moira. Obviously, she has auto-aim damage, close enough to the target. Your thing auto-locks onto them and does damage, and it heals you off of the damage that you do. A heal isn't really an aimed thing. It's just kind of like an AoE spray. She has an orb that heal that does damage. Really, really simple cooldowns. And then again, she has a movement ability that also makes her untargetable, so she can't die during that movement. So again, not very punishing because she has that lifesteal, that lifesteal and a self-heal with the orb, and she has a movement cooldown that can get her out of any situation. She really is so straightforward that there isn't much thinking needed. And again, like I said, the benefit of that is that you get to think about the game of Overwatch a lot more, and you get to think about playing the game. My only con, as mentioned, is that she doesn't really teach you the game that well. You can focus on general Overwatch stuff, but she doesn't really have any skills that I think would benefit you on another hero. And she's also a bit of a stat farmer, and so it can feel like you're doing a lot when you're really not. It's hard to know what value you're providing. She will easily top damage and heal charts and kills while also not dying. But you can't tell if that was actually you playing well, or that's just Moira. She does that. Some characters are just stat farmers, so if you do end up playing Moira a lot, please don't flame your team because you have really high stats. She kind of, like, almost is expected in every game, even if you lose, to have really good stats. Otherwise, she is such an easy hero that anyone can pick up and play. And I know there's lots of people, I've actually had comments on this before, with other simplistic characters. There are a lot of people out there that suffer from physical disabilities and even mental disabilities that make it a lot more difficult to play some of the more either mechanical intensive characters, movement characters, and even just stuff like the overwhelmingness of some characters' kits. And so I don't think characters like Moira shouldn't exist. I think it definitely enables a lot of people that may struggle to aim because of a different reason, or they find the game overwhelming already, but they still find it fun, and it's difficult to know. And so, yeah, I'm not trying to shame anyone out of any character, especially if they have a very specific reason for it. So I'm keeping Moira on this list. Anyway, thank you for watching. Those are my 5 beginner heroes. I don't know if you could tell, I made an entire team out of it. 1 tank, 2 DPS, 2 support. If you want another tank thrown in there, from either tank, I'll throw in Ram. I think Ram's really simple. His kit's kind of it's similar playstyle to Rein, but very similar character. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. I try to stream regularly at twitch.tv/PyroSquidOW, and I like making videos like this pretty much every week. Subscribe if you want to see more of that. Peace out.